obviously a big anniversary for the academy coming up on Sunday. You've been at the club for an awful long time, but have you ever felt better playing in the United shirt than you do at the moment in the form that you're in?
No, I think just the moments where we've obviously won trophies stands above this moment now. But like you say, the results they've still been inconsistent, but the performances have been getting better. So we can see where we're heading, and obviously there's a lot of young players in the squad and in the starting 11. So we're sort of learning as we go along. But hopefully we can. It's the first time we've had back-to-back wins in the league, so hopefully that can start something off for us, and we can get used to just getting results and performing.
I don't know if you saw on Saturday, but the manager said that you're making it very, very easy to draw comparisons with Cristiano Ronaldo. For a United player, there can't be any higher praise than that, really, can there?
No, I think it's as a forward player, ever since I've come through, they always compare you with forwards that have been in the past, and it's something that you don't really have much of an input on. All you do is try and do your best on the pitch, and then people outside do the talking about it. And it would be a similar thing for, you see the other young players coming through now, like they'll have it in the future as well, where they're always being compared to other forwards, and it's just a thing that people like to do with forwards. So it's obviously nice it's definitely a compliment, and yeah, for me, I understand how far I've got left to go to reach the heights that they reached. So I'm very clear-minded and just focused on myself.
In terms of your own journey at United, can you remember the first time that a scout came and spoke to you or your mum and said, "We want Marcus to come down"?
Yeah, I remember at first before I came to United, there was loads of different clubs, and obviously my mum didn't really know much about football. We supported Man United, and it was my brothers really who, they managed to categorise good academies from bad academies, and then the final decision just came down to which club do you love and want to play for. And then once I went to United, it was perfect. It's everything that you wish for as a kid. And then that's how it all began, really. And it, whether you leave the club or you stay here forever, that feeling never leaves your life. And people say that once you play for Man United, you're always a Red, and for me that's true.
I've read somewhere that when you started at the Cliff, you used to get 5 or 10 minutes watching the first team.
Yeah.
Players like Tim Howard, who I've mentioned in the past. And what was that like for a kid of that age to look at those players and watch them?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It's little things like that, like experiences that you might not get over academies at such a young age. But I think United are just clever in the way they do it. They expose you to it, but you never, it's not too much. It's always an excitement thing, and it definitely, when you see them training, it just, your determination and everything goes up another level. And I think it's important to keep that connection between the academy and the first team as close as possible. Because when you're young, sometimes it's difficult to see what the end looks like your end goal. And if you're in and around the first team, you can see players that have done exactly what you're trying to do, and it just makes things a bit clearer for you.
Anyone that you saw training at the time and thought he is unbelievable?
Do you know what? To be honest, you don't really watch it like that. You're just taking in sort of the moment, and you're never focusing on one player. You're looking at all the different players. So it's you can't really think of one standout moment. But just them, as a kid, nothing's better than seeing your idols training or playing matches. There's nothing that can match that feeling.
And can you remember the first time that, obviously you come all the way through the academy, you've been here when you were a kid, at some stage you've had a tap on the shoulder to say the manager wants you to train with the first team?
Yeah, the first time was under David Moyes, and it was like a group of us that went over, and obviously it was an amazing feeling. And I remember the training session, we didn't actually touch the ball, we was just doing shape and stuff like that. But then when we go back to our own age group, like what you learn from that little 15-20 minutes is like is priceless as a young academy player. So like them moments really do like start to add up, and when you start training with them more regularly, you pick up more things to learn from, and you know that's how you become a first team player.
You mentioned David Moyes there, obviously Louis gave you David.
Yeah.
The first team managers get a lot of credit, but working within this youth system, I've seen you mention in the past some of the coaches that went over to America, Colin Little as well, who helped you with this youth. Who are the kind of people that help shape your game at that early stages, and how crucial are they to the development of young people in this club?
Like there's so many members of staff, but I always just try and sort of narrow it down to probably I'd say the biggest impact, which was moving into like more of a forward position, because before when I was an academy player I was more about creating opportunities and like more with the ball, and you know wanting to show people what I can do and my talents. But then it wasn't until I was just before I made my debut, about 6 months before, so when I was 18, that sort of my perception changed on it, and that was down to like Paul McGuinness and Colin Little, spells with Warren Joyce, and especially in training. So them moments started to, I'd say, just mature me a little bit and understand that it's not all about showing people what you can do all the time, and you might have to be in that position, you might not get the ball, but it's affecting the play more than if I was just getting on the ball all the time. So there's little things that you learn. But that 6-month period before I made my debut was a huge learning curve.
I'm sure there's not many things you haven't been asked about the Midtjylland game before, but do you ever think how things might have shaped out differently if Anthony hadn't got injured in the warm-up? I mean, you weren't even on the back of the programme.
No. Yeah, it's something that I think I would have made my debut, but later on in the season maybe, because I think it was Leicester or Watford away about 4 months before then, where I was on the bench, and you know I didn't manage to get on, but you could see I was getting closer and closer to the first team and maybe getting a game. So it was obviously unfortunate for Anthony that he got injured in the game, but it was an opportunity for me to like speed up the process of me playing in the first team. And you know, because of the way it happened, I wasn't really thinking much about anything really. I just wanted to enjoy the moment, and you know, it was something that was going to be special for me for the rest of my career. So I just wanted to enjoy it.
Obviously, you took to it like a duck to water. And how difficult is it to go from a young lad that joins, because the competition across the leagues is huge, but a club like this where you've got the best young talent around, how difficult is it to break through? And what are the key moments in a young player's career? I
think it can be very tough, especially here. Like there's loads of players that come and go. There's players from abroad that come and go, but for me it was about, obviously we're privileged enough to go on lots of tournaments to different places, Spain, Italy, places like that. And I always used to just think to myself, like, even if you're not as good as some of the players that you're playing against, it's a complete different culture. And like only of recent you have some English players that have gone out and played in other countries, but learning another culture of football, it does a lot for your career. And you see with some of the players here, the Spanish players, Brazilian players, they bring something different to the team. And when I was younger especially, I just tried to take little bits from different places that I went. And I remember there was a tournament when we finished like 14th out of 20, and like that was probably, like we all learnt so much from that tournament. And then there was a tournament where we finished second, but we probably didn't learn probably half as much as what we did in the last tournament. So it's around the ages of like 13, 14, 15, like you learn a lot, and then from 15 to 18, that's your moment to, you know, start trying to mature, because the men's game is a lot different to academy football, and it can be tough, that initial transition. But I think if you just stick at it, like naturally you get used to it and you start to perform at that level, and it'll become standard.
We spoke to Nicky Butt and Nick Cox, the head of the academy, recently, and they were saying, as well as that, trying to get you used to different styles of football, different teams and things like that, rather than just playing the same old lads every year. There's a focus on making sure that in this academy that the footballer is, and the person as well, and education, things like that. I remember seeing a post you did about your life ambitions. Number one was to be a professional footballer. I think it was preferably. You also put school in there. How important is that? And
I think that's so. When you're at United from a young age, they make sure that they don't want you to put everything into football, and then they understand that you can get injuries and stuff like that can cut your career short. They always want you to have backup plans, and I think from a young age it became normal to me. So when I think I was about 12 or something when I wrote that letter. So by that stage it was already like that was the thing that was seemed to be normal. So it was an ambition of mine to obviously finish school, but at the same time try and push and keep improving in my football career. But yeah, like I said, they make sure that they want you to be a good person and set up for life. Whether it's in football or it can be in other things. There's some players that I've played with that have been to university and they have really good jobs now. And the picture that they had at the beginning might not have happened, but they've got a really good job and they'll be happy with what they're doing.
Do you have to pinch yourself? The lad that wrote that letter 10 years on now has this picture and is inspiring others. I know you're a global football star now, but it must be surreal sometimes to walk down the corridors and that you walk seeing your face on the wall alongside Bobby Charlton, David Beckham, whoever else. Yeah,
at first it was a bit like overwhelming, but I think after when you look at it, like it's just like the process of development. Like the players that I looked up to, they're obviously older now, and like the younger players now, they look up to us, and the transition happens so fast. And like until I understood that, then my perception of that picture over there like changed a little bit. It became like a bit more normal, and I understood like what that does for the kids. Because remember when I was younger, when you see like Beckham, Scholes and players like that on the walls, it was just like it gives you that determination every time you went to train, and when you seen them on the walls on the way out, you'd want to reach them heights, and that they're just on the other side of the building. They're training every day, working hard, and then you'd go and watch them on the weekend. Like it's like we're so far away from there, but we're so close at the same time. And I think that's what them pictures do for the academy lads.
Final question from me. It's quite a broad one. It's obviously the 4,000th consecutive game has been an academy product in the squad. How important is it to have that individual in the squad, whether it be one or quite a lot at the moment? And how important is the academy to what Manchester United is?
I think the academy obviously holds a huge place in United's history. But for me, it's just the way that the academy is like set up, and the way that they breed players. It's no shock to me at all, because it's like they mould you into a Man United person and a Man United player. But the process begins before you can even like remember. So like these players that have been there since 5 and 6 years old, like for me in that moment, I was just having fun until I was like 12, 11. Like I was just enjoying myself, and you don't realise like how good you can be or the potential that you have. It's more just you're having a kick about with some kids that you've grew to like, and they become friends through football, and that's how it all started off. But looking back on it, the stuff that we used to do in training and stuff like that, that's when the process all started in becoming a Man United player. And I always say to myself, if you ever fall short of like going through that process of being a Man United player, you'll play Premier League football or in a top division, top league. So they're not just making Man United players, like they have players playing everywhere that have come through the academy.
One
people talk about Manchester United, they talk about iconic names, Best, Charlton, Class of '92, all these people who developed at United and then became world famous footballers at Manchester United. You, obviously, you've said you've got a long way to go, but you've given yourself the start that would allow you to be named in the same breath as these players. What would that mean to you as a Manchester boy, because Charlton wasn't a Manchester boy, Best wasn't a Manchester boy? What would it mean to you to be elevated to that kind of level?
I think, like, obviously it's a nice feeling to have the start that I've had, but like, you never have a moment to really sit back and look at it. Like, there's always another game around the corner, and for me, like, it's not necessary to look back and look at what you've achieved so far. It's more about what you can achieve in the future and the potential of the team. So that's the way I look at it. But I just think if, like, as a group, as a collective, if we start winning more games, if we start being involved in big games, winning trophies, like, it won't just be my name that's mentioned with them people. It'll be as a collective, and if we can do that, I think that's what we all want. And
it seems as though you've taken on a more prominent position within the squad, even though you're still very young. You speak very articulately around a range of subjects that we've seen you do, but you also seem to be a little bit of a mentor, if that's possible, for some of the even younger lads that are coming through.
Yeah, I think what I touched on before, like with the picture on the wall, the process happens so fast. So I remember when I was 16 or 17, we always looked up to, like, the likes of Jesse and I think Josh King at the time, Paul Pogba. So because they was about to make that jump into the first team, they're the ones that are having the biggest impact on us, because they'd go up and train with the first team, then they'd be back with their age, but then we might be up with them. So whatever they was learning from the first team, they was bringing it down to their age, and that's how you start to learn more quickly. So, like, you want to follow. We speak about following in footsteps. That's where it all comes from, in my opinion. And it happens now that, like, the ones that have just come into the first team, like me, Scotty, we're sort of an example to some of the academy lads that are coming in now, and it'll be the same in 3 years' time. It'll be the same for the next lot of kids, and the longer that routine keeps happening, like, I don't see United breeding players slowing down at any moment.
Can I just ask you, is there one thing about being in this place, about growing up as a Manchester United player, that you immediately think of, one thing that stands out, one funny moment? What is it that you think of?
I just go off the feeling that it is to be here. Like, it's like your second home, and like, ever since I started playing for United, that's how it's been for me, and like, that's what's special. I think some clubs don't hold that. Like, some players go to clubs and they don't have that feeling, so they go there and then they go to another club and it becomes normal. But for me, this is definitely like a second home, and I know it is for a lot of the other lads as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Perfect. Oh, cheers, lads.